Yo, what's up, guys? It's Venus here, back with another story time. And today's story time is about going to juvie. All right, so yeah, this one's a little wild. Not kind of. This happened like a month ago, month and a half ago, maybe longer than that. I don't know, like a month and a half. Happened like the end of January, I think. And this shit was all over some bullshit, and it still makes me mad that I got caught because it wasn't even my fault that I got caught. So let's start from the beginning. I was going to school, and there's this kid in my fourth block. Let's just call him Jay, and Jay always has carts, right? Jay always has a cart. And we always be hitting the carts in class because the bathroom got the vape detectors and ain't nothing you can do to not set them off when you have a cart. The cart sets it off every single time. So we just be hitting them in class. But today, for some reason, his dumbass decided, oh, I'm gonna go in the bathroom and hit it in his fourth block. And I was like, all right, bro, whatever. Like, they finna pull you out and search you, but go ahead. And then he went in there, hit his cart. He came back, and then he was like, yo, hold this for me because I know they about to come search me. And I sit like 2 seats away from him. So I was like, all right, bro, I got you. And then they came in like 5 minutes later, pulled him out of class, pulled my homie M that sits right next to him, and then some other kid that sits on the other side of him. So they're all up there getting searched. They come back to class, obviously, because they didn't have nothing. I had his shit. So then he comes back to class, and he didn't get caught or nothing. He was like, all right, bro, I'll take it back. And I was like, all right, for sure. And I smacked that shit like 5 times in class and handed it back to him. And then I was like, okay, so I'm cool. Like, they ain't gonna search me. I ain't got nothing anymore. They would have searched me already if they were. And if anybody snitched, then we don't have a problem. Like, I'm gonna end up fighting somebody, you know? And then the next day in first block, or actually, no. So I hit up my homie Brody after school, and I was like, yo, bro, you got shrooms, right? And he was like, yeah, bro, I grew some shrooms, and I brought them to my homie, and he made them into shroom gummies. And I was like, shit, I need some of those. How many? He said, 1,000 milligrams. And I was like, okay, that's a gram a piece. So then I was like, all right, let me get like five. That's like 5 grams of shrooms. And I was like, shit, I'm about to trip balls. I'm about to eat all these at once as soon as I get home, fucking trip. And I was excited, right? I was excited as fuck. The rest of the day, I was like thinking in my head, like, oh, I'm finna trip tomorrow. Yeah, this shit finna be fun as fuck. And then I go to school, hit him up. I'm like, yo, bro, here's 40. And then he was like, all right, well, he said 50. And I was like, bro, just let me get 5 for 40. Like, come on, hook me up. You got them bitches basically for free, you grew them. And he was like, yeah, you're right. All right, whatever. So I was getting 40. He gave me the 5. And then I was getting too comfortable because I always had like vapes and carts, and I brought weed to school before and all types of shit, and I never got caught with it. So I was like, all right, they ain't never searched me, so fuck it, I'm cool. And I just threw them in my backpack. I never do that. I have a secret little spot in my backpack where like they won't find if they were looking, because I cut a hole in the little back part of the backpack. I cut a hole right there in the lining that way I could slide shit in. And I've been searched with shit in there before. They never found it. So I was like, all right, I'm cool. But for some reason today, I was just too comfortable. I was like, fuck it, I'm just throwing my backpack. And then I get to first block, hang out with my homie Tay, and we were just chilling in first block for like 30 minutes. We're just chilling, fucking talking shit, doing what we always do. And then the principals walk in, and they got their little metal detector things. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm fucked. So then they came and they were like, Zeus, can you come here for us? And I was like, fuck. And I got up, went over there, and I was like, what's up? And they're like, oh, grab your stuff. So I went back, grabbed my backpack, walked back over to him, and I was like, all right, what's up? He was like, here, come right here for me behind the bleach, or like, there's like a little hallway right behind the bleachers where you can go and nobody's at. He was like, oh, come right here for me. I was like, all right. And they were like, so, yesterday you have class with Jay, and he was hitting something in the bathroom that set off the vape detector, said he had THC, and somebody in that class said that he passed it to you and you were holding for him. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And he was like, I don't know, it's just what somebody said. So we're going to search you too to like make sure you don't have nothing on you now. And I was like, all right, bro, whatever. And then I was like, fucking, I'm just going to like tell him it's like medicine or something, because it looks like really professional. It's like these little gummies. Well, you could tell it's not medicine by looking at it. It's like these, like, they're like gel tabs, basically. It's like these blue gel tabs. And they're in like a really professional packaging though. Like it looks like, the little pill containers where it's like foil and you pop it out of that little fucking like saran wrap type stuff. That's like the exact stuff they were in. I had 5 of them, so I had them in my backpack. And then they were like, They searched me, didn't find nothing, so I didn't have nothing on me. And then he was going through my backpack. He took every single thing out of my backpack. I don't know why. Usually whenever I get searched, they don't do that. They just look through it real quick and they're like, all right, whatever. This time he took every single thing out of my backpack. And then he looked in and was like, oh, what are these? And he picked up the gummies and I was like, oh, that's medicine. He was like, oh, from the doctor? And I was like, I don't know, my mom gave them to me. And he was like, okay, what are they? And he was like, I can't remember the name. I said, I don't remember the name. And he was like, okay, well, then we're going to take them to the office to figure out what these are. And I was like, okay, go ahead, call my mom. And then he was like, all right. And they left with them. I sold my backpack. I called my mom and I was like, yo, mom, when they call you, please lie for me. Like, tell them it's something from the doctor or it's like fucking, I don't know. Tell them it's something. And she was like, bro, you're going to fuck. Like, she was hella mad at me. But these motherfuckers went up there and called my stepdad first. And he don't play that shit at all. Like, my mom would have lied. But my stepdad, no, not at all. So then they called my stepdad. And he was like, no, you don't have anything like that. So they called me up there and were like, what are these? And I wasn't saying anything. I was just sitting there silent. And then they pull up a picture on the fucking computer. It's like zombie THCs, 10 milligram things. They look exactly like them. And I was like, you're just going to take some random picture off the internet and say, oh, this is it because it looks the same? That don't even make sense. They don't have any packaging saying that or nothing. And he was like, okay, well, for now, that's what we're going to assume since you're not going to talk. And I just sat there quiet again. And I was sitting there with my head down, just like sitting there. And the cop walked up and he was like, so what are these? And I was just sitting there. And he like leaned down and like looked at my face and was like, can you hear me? I was like, bro, what the fuck out of here. Yes, I can fucking hear you. That's not what I said. But I was like, yeah, I can hear you. And then they were like, okay, get up, come in here. I got to do this paperwork. The other cop came in and said that. So I walked in there with him. We were sitting there. And my cousin called me while I was sitting there. So I pulled my phone out and I wanted to just hang up. And the cop got up and grabbed my phone. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? And then he fucking started pulling the phone. And I was like, bro, why are you taking the phone? And he was like, let the phone go. I'm going to take it from you. So I was like, bro, fuck you. And I let the phone go. That's what I said. And then he was like, the other cop walked in. And he was like, why are they always mad at us when they get caught? It's like, bro, get off my dick. And then, yeah, that shit had me mad. But they did the paperwork. This motherfucker, he was like, oh, well, he put me in cuffs, and we started walking out, like, to go to his car, and then something happened where they called him to the other side of the school real quick, and he made me walk with him to the other side of the school while I'm in handcuffs, and it's break. So everybody saw me walk through the school in handcuffs. I was like, bro, you're a bitch. You did this on purpose. And then he threw me in the car, and I was like, bro, so, like, how long am I going to be there for? And how long am I being there for? And he was like, well, you got at least a 24-hour hold. Everybody has a 24-hour hold. And I was like, fuck. And he was like, yep, shouldn't have brought weed to school. And I was like, bro, fuck you. Because I just told him it was weed. Because they were asking what it was. And I was like, yeah, it's weed. That way they wouldn't test it. Because then they would have saw it was shrooms. And I don't know if I would have gotten more trouble or what. But I just said it was weed. And weed's illegal out here. Because I'm in Mississippi. I was moved from California to Mississippi like a year ago. And I don't like this shit at all. And I got to the juvie. I had to sit in a holding cell for like 6 hours. Like, I got there. They searched me and everything. Did that dumbass shit. Gave me some clothes, put me in a holding cell for like a solid 6 hours. I was just sitting there mad as fuck. Like, I was banging on the shit, and I was like, bro, when I'm gonna go in, like, the pod? Because I knew there was gonna be other people in there, so I wasn't gonna be so bored just sitting there by myself. And then he kept telling me, shut up, and I was like, bro, fuck this. And then he finally came and got me, brought me to the pod, and then, well, no, he brought me to, like, another holding cell at first, and I was like, bro, fuck. And then I had to sit in there for, like, 30 minutes, and then he got me out of that holding cell and brought me to the pod. I was in B pod, and as soon as I walked in, there was, like, these 3 little kids in, like, a cell right next to the door, and they looked little as fuck. Like, they literally looked like they were, like, 11 or 12, and as soon as I walked in, they were like, oh, fresh meat, fresh meat. And I looked at him, I said, bro, shut the fuck up, and kept walking. And then everybody, like, in their cells started laughing, and I walked into my cell, and fuck, what did they say? It was like these 2 kids in the cell, and they like be punking everybody out on the pod, I guess. While I was there, that's what they were doing. At least they were punking everybody. And fuck, what did he say? As soon as I walked in, he was like, hey, bro, what you in here for? And I was like, I got caught up with some shrooms. And he's like, bro, you dumb as fuck. And I said, bro, shut the fuck up. And they were like, what? What'd you say? I'll beat the shit out of you. And I was like, bro, whatever. And I just walked away when it sat on the bunk. And then when I walked back over to the window, they were like, oh, what school you go to? I said, I told them the school I went to. And, like, my school that I go to now is, like, a super, like, preppy white kid school where everybody is, like, I don't know. I don't really fuck with this school, like, at all. Because, like, the school I'm used to go to in California is, like, pretty ghetto, and that shit is fun though. But out here, this school is lame as fuck, and everybody in the county knows that. So they're like, "Oh, you go there? Yeah, we gonna beat the shit out your ass." And I was like, "All right, bro, whatever." And then at nighttime, well, I got moved to another cell with this kid named Greer, and Greer's cool as fuck. We was just chilling. It was like the only other white kid in the pod, and we were just chilling in the cell. We played Uno for like probably like 8 hours straight while I was in there. Like we played so much Uno. I'm never playing Uno again after how much Uno I played while I was in there. And you get a sandwich at nighttime. They call it a PB. It's just a peanut butter sandwich, and you get a milk. And when the guards were bringing them in, the kid that were talking shit to me when I first came in, they were not the little kids, the other two that would be punking everybody in the pod. They were like, "Yo, you finna give me your PB? You gonna give me your PB?" And I said, "Fuck no, you ain't getting my PB." And they were like, "Oh yeah, we gonna beat the shit out you, blah blah blah. When you come out that cell, we gonna beat your ass." And I was like, "Bro, I'm not scared of y'all." And then they came and brought me my PB. I ate my shit, and they were like, "Yeah, we finna beat the shit out you. You ain't giving me your PB, blah blah blah." And there was like those two, and then this other big ass kid that was in like basically like the solitary cell where you by yourself and you don't get no cars or nothing. And then there's this other kid. They were like, "Yeah, we gonna beat your ass when you come out." And I was like, "Bro, I'm not worried about that." And then we went to bed. Like, went to bed that night at like 3 in the morning because me and Garrett stayed up just playing Uno. He was busting my ass in Uno, bro. Like, I was getting fucked up. I don't know how he's so good at Uno, but shit, he fucked me up. And then we just went to bed at like 3 in the morning. Then the next morning, got up, got some nasty ass breakfast. Shit was gross as fuck. I don't even remember what it was. Shit was nasty though. I remember that. The food in there was disgusting. Nothing that I got was good, even a little bit, except the sweet cakes. Sweet cakes were decent. They be giving you a sweet cake at every meal, so that was all right. But, and I didn't get to go out to Rick, but the kid in my cell, he had a shank and shit, and he was like, "Bro, if they try and jump you, I mean, or like, if you think they finna jump you, I'll let you hold this bitch." And I was like, "Nah, bro, I'm not trying to fucking get caught up with that shit. I'm good." I was like, "I'll fight. I ain't scared to fight." But I was thinking like, fuck, bro, we go out to wreck, they gonna jump my ass. And we was gonna get wrecked that night for like 3 hours. Like, we were supposed to get 3 hours of wreck because they have to do a mandatory 4 hours of wreck a week, and it was Sunday. And they ain't do, wait, no, it wasn't Sunday. Fuck. It was Monday. And they do a mandatory 4 hours a week. So they was just giving them 3 this night. That way they could just give them like an hour another time and then not have to do it again. Pretty fucked up, my opinion. But, so it was about to be wreck. And right before it was about to be wrecked, they come up to the cell, knock on it, and then they were like, "Zeus," or they said my real name, because Zeus ain't my real name, that's my nickname. And I was like, "Yeah, it's me." And they opened up the cell door and brought me out. And I was like, "What y'all taking me out for?" And he was like, "You going home?" And I was like, "Oh shit, bet." And then I just walked out there, fucking got my backpack, got my phone, got everything, and then walked out there. My stepdad and my mom were sitting out there mad as shit. And then, yeah, went home. Got all my shit took, they took everything. Had all my shit took for like 3 weeks, got it back for like 2 weeks. Then I got in trouble again, like, because the shit I said in my last story time, getting caught fucking skipping class and shit. But, yeah, it was a bunch of bullshit. I was getting too comfortable. I left that shit in my backpack without hiding it, and I got caught like a retard. But if you fuck with the video, like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate when y'all be liking and commenting and everything because it pushes the video out into the algorithm. So if you mess with the video, then do that, please. And yeah, have a good day. Bye.